Mere handful of hours ere my brother's nuptials, a missive did arrive unto me. Not attend thy brother's nuptial celebration. Beginning, I deemed it naught but a jest, yet upon lifting the garage door, I found myself rendered utterly speechless. Lace collar of her gown, smoothing away the phantom creases that dared to mar her skirt. Day, a wondrous occasion did unfold. Brother, Daniel, was to be wed. Entire kin did eagerly await this moment, their hearts aflame with fervent expectation. Family didst shine as the brightest star at every gathering, and all hearts did yearn for his joy with fair Victoria. As the elder sister, Emma didst feel a profound bond with the momentous occasion. She had beheld Daniel flourish by fair Victoria's side. How his eyes did glisten when he spoke of her! Lo! The golden rays of sunlight did cascade through the windows of the dwelling, suffusing the air with the lively stirrings of a wedding eve's fervor. Their mother, with hands deft and skilful, toiled in the kitchen, crafting traditional pies of her own making. Their sire didst sit at the table, marking names upon the guest list with care. Fair Emma didst complete her preparations with grace. Her lord, Mark, had already departed at the break of day, asserting he was summoned forthwith to a pressing engagement with a patron. "Fear not, my dearest. I shall arrive ere the ceremony commences," he did declare, bestowing upon her a tender kiss of farewell. His manner was laid back, tender, not beyond the commonplace. And yet, a certain air of disquietude did linger upon Emma's spirit. She cast her gaze upon her reflection in the looking-glass. The visage that gazed upon her was that of a woman, bold and triumphant, cherished and steadfast. In yonder firm of great renown, she toiled as an accountant, her heart swelling with pride for the order and reason that governed her craft. 10 years of union with Mark had appeared tranquil, steadfast. Verily, they did encounter minor disputes and misapprehensions, yet naught that was extraordinary. Life did seem a steady stream of contentment, or so she had believed. In her grasp, the device did vibrate with a gentle hum. Anon, a number most mysterious. Fair Emma didst furrow her brow. A brief and curious missive did appear upon the screen. Pray, do not attend the nuptial celebration. Pray, take heed and inspect thy husband's garage. Her heart did skip a beat. What dost that even signify? Who amongst us wouldst dispatch such a thing? She did strive to cast it aside. Perchance it was but a jest or a misdialed call. Yet the sense of foreboding did not wane. It didst grow weightier with each fleeting moment. The chamber, once aglow with vibrant life, now lay shrouded in a stillness, a spectral hush that did descend upon it following Mark's farewell. She didst peruse the missive once more. Pray, take heed and search thy husband's garage. What dost thou inquire of me? What dost thou suppose might be there? Mark had ne'er concealed aught from her sight. He hath ever been true of heart, or so she did believe. She didst attempt to summon him with her voice, yet he offered no reply. He doth likely still reside within that gathering, she mused, yet her breast did constrict with a sense of disquiet. Lo! A tempest of dread began to swell within the breast. She sought to divert her mind, lending aid to her mother in the kitchen for a spell, yet her thoughts did return, like a relentless tide. Pray, do not attend the nuptial celebration. Pray, inspect the garage. The words didst take root in her mind, akin to splinters that pierce the flesh. Emma, with a heart heavy and burdened, understood well that she could not turn a blind eye to the matter at hand. Something didst seem amiss. Yet what course was she to take? Proceed forthwith to the abode of the chariots. It did appear most ludicrous. Mark would be vexed, believing she held no faith in his integrity. Yet, how might she dispel this gnawing sensation if she did not seek the truth? She cast her gaze upon the timepiece. The hour of the ceremony yet lingers, distant as the stars in the firmament. Mark, thou shouldst have returned by this hour, or at the very least, sent word, yet silence reigns supreme. And then did she recall the key, set aside for moments such as these. Mark, in days of yore, did once speak of crafting a duplicate of the key to the garage, as a precaution against unforeseen circumstance. She didst strain her recollection, seeking to recall whence he did declare he had placed it. Then it struck her, within the ancient treasure chest, the one they didst conceal in the closet, brimming with faded missives and cherished relics. Her hands did quiver as she did unseal it. Lo! There lay a humble, unpretentious shard of metal, which perchance could rend asunder the very fabric of her existence. Emma didst pause, her heart in tumult. Was this endeavour truly of such merit? Shall she forsake the sacred bond of her matrimony forsooth, due to a mere missive of unknown origin? Yet the dread, the yearning, the pang within her breast, they all did cry out with greater fervour than her uncertainty. She didst choose to depart in silence. Pray, allow me but a fleeting moment to inquire. None need be privy to this secret. Then she might return and feign that naught of this hath ever transpired. Softly did Emma steal from the chamber, mindful to tread with silence upon the floor. Her progenitors did remain in ignorance. She descended the stairs and emerged into the golden embrace of the sun. The brilliance did pierce her sight, yet warmth eluded her grasp, leaving naught but a heavy dread within her breast. The garage lay not far hence, merely a handful of blocks away. She didst walk with haste, her mind a tempest, striving with all its might to silence the cacophony of thoughts that didst cry out within her. Upon her arrival, the ranks of steel garage units stood sentinel, a lifeless procession along the boundary of the lot. She hath discovered the true one. Tokens of distinction. Her heart did thunder in her ears, a tempest of sound that echoed through her very being. She didst withdraw the key from her pocket, and with a gentle hand did slide it into the lock. Hark! A sound doth echo forth. The portal didst creak as it opened wide. In shadows deep, the air was thick with scents of oil, aged rubber, and the chill of cement beneath. With a flick of her finger, Emma did summon forth the light from her device, casting its glow upon the chamber, revealing its secrets in the dimness. Lo! Mark's chariot, a weathered Lincoln besmirched with dust, did repose in yonder distant corner. Upon the walls, tools did rest, spare parts and ancient boxes, not amiss did I perceive. She did exhale a breath, unknowing that it had been held within her bosom. It was naught but a jest, a mere trick of mirth. A jest most cruel and devoid of wit. Fair Emma didst turn to take her leave, yet in that moment she didst freeze. In yonder corner, a curious sight did seize her gaze. A grand cardboard vessel, shrouded in a tattered cloak of yore. Her feet didst dance ere thought could take its flight. She didst draw back the cloth. Within did dwell possessions most unfit. A lady's satchel, elevated footwear, a vessel from a noble fragrance house. Her belly did twist and churn. She was aware of these matters. They were of Victoria, betrothed to Daniel. Emma's breath didst catch within her throat. Her sight did waver for a fleeting moment, as her thoughts did race to unravel the tapestry of what lay before her eyes. What manner of fate hath brought Victoria's belongings to rest within Mark's humble garage? With trembling hands, she didst delve into the box. She didst withdraw the purse and didst unfasten it. Within lay objects known to mine eyes, a purse of leather, a modest pouch for adornments, a ring of keys, and likenesses captured in time. Lo! Emma's heart did quicken as she drew forth the stack of portraits, lifting them to the radiant glow of light. Lo! It was Mark and Victoria. In each and every instance, they found themselves upon a shore, verily in the midst of a holiday's embrace. They did laugh, did kiss, and did embrace as if they were lovers entwined in a tender dance. In yonder image, he clasped her hand whilst she did rest her head upon his shoulder, radiant with joy. In another scene, they did repose at a quaint seaside tavern, adorned with spectacles that shielded their eyes, resembling a pair plucked from the pages of a traveller's tome. Emma did stagger back a step, clutching the images as though they were aflame, searing her very hands. The chamber of her abode didst appear to constrict about her. The atmosphere didst feel heavy and laden. Her limbs, as if beset by unseen weights, did tremble and threaten to yield beneath her. All did break asunder. The man whom she had cherished, the brother whom she had esteemed, the kin she had striven so valiantly to shield, all had been but a deceit, a cruel and intricate deceit. Yet still in a haze, she did reach into the depths of the box and there discovered a folder. She didst unseal it, uncertain if her heart could endure a further strain, yet powerless to restrain her own hand. Within lay sheets adorned with printed missives, scribbled annotations, and fragments of discourse exchanged twixt Mark and Victoria. Fair Emma did peruse, her gaze doth flit o'er the lines, her heart doth bleed with each word that doth grace her ears. O fair companion, my heart doth swell with joy that we embark upon this venture side by side. Thou hast my deepest gratitude for ever placing thy faith in me. Though I am aware 'tis a folly most grave, yet I find myself unable to exist apart from thee. Thou art the very essence of my existence. For the morrow's promise, I take Daniel as my wedded lord. Thou art aware that this shall not endure. When I don the sacred bond of wife, at last shall we be united in blissful harmony. Thou shalt depart, fair Emma, and we shall be unbound. Lo, Emma's hands didst commence to quiver. She didst let fall the folder upon the hood of the carriage, scarcely able to draw breath. Victoria had ne'er bestowed her heart upon Daniel. She didst wed him as a guise, that she and Mark might lead the life they had clandestinely devised. And Mark, he did stand within their abode, bestowing upon her a kiss that morn, and smiled as if all was well in the world. All of it had been but a grand performance. Her initial impulse was one of wrath, a profound and throbbing ire that did commence within her breast and did course through her very limbs. She yearned to unleash a cry, to shatter the garage into fragments, to summon them both forth, and to lay bare all in one fierce, resounding blow. Yet she did not. Instead, she didst stand there in the dim, dusty light, encompassed by tokens of treachery, and allowed the silent wrath to transform into a chillier resolve. She could not permit this fate to unfold. She could not permit her brother to tread the path of matrimony founded upon falsehoods. She could not permit these two to bring about his ruin as they had wrought her own demise. Emma didst withdraw her device of communication and commenced to capture images of all that lay before her. Lo! The footwear, the fragrant casket, the satchel, the likenesses, the missives. She didst capture it all with utmost care, and with a method most deliberate. She was aware that wit must be her guiding star. Should Mark discover her presence, he may well seek to obliterate the proof or weave a tale of deceit. She dared not tempt fate thus. When she had completed her task, she didst tenderly restore all to its rightful place, as it had been when first she encountered it. She didst wipe away all that her hands had graced, striving to leave no mark behind. Then she extinguished her lantern's glow and emerged from the confines of the garage, securing the portal with a turn of the key behind her. Without, the realm did seem transformed, chillier, more ethereal, as if naught but a spectre of reality. Her mind didst race as she made her way back to the chariot. What dost thou seek now? Should I attend the joyous nuptials and don a mask of feigned bliss, or ought I to reveal unto Daniel the truth forthwith? She did perceive that a wedding was no fitting realm for such a truth to dwell. Not before the gathered throng, nor amidst the revelry and mirth that doth abound. Yet she found herself unable to remain mute. Not henceforth. Emma did ascend into her chariot and gazed upon the wheel of guidance for a fleeting moment, striving to find her composure. Then she didst make a choice. She would seek out Daniel in solitude, in a realm serene, a haven of privacy. She didst press upon the digits of his calling. The line did ring, a ceaseless echo in the air. Then he didst lift it up. Hark, fair Em, what tidings dost thou bring? Daniel didst sound most joyous, yet his mind wandered afar. Pray, why dost thou tarry and not yet grace the venue with thy presence? Daniel, quoth Emma, striving with all her might to maintain a voice unshaken. Pray, I beseech thee, grant me a moment of thine ear. It doth hold great import. What dost thou find amiss? Pray, impart thy wisdom unto me. I find myself unable to do so. Not by the means of yon device that doth convey sound. It is of such intimate nature. Shall we convene? For but a fleeting moment. Daniel didst pause. She could ne'er miss the subtle change in his breath. Hark, dear Emma, the hour of thy nuptials doth approach, less than one doth remain. I am aware, yet the matter doth concern Victoria. Hark, a stillness doth descend, followed by a gentle breath released. Verily, he did proclaim at length. Whither dost thou seek to go? Rear portal of the establishment. Pray, grant me but half an hour, dear Daniel. I shall be there, quoth he, and then he did sever the connection. Emma didst recline her head against the seat, in a posture of repose. Her heart did race with fervent beat, her hands were chilled as winter's breath, yet she had conquered the most arduous trial. She didst choose to unveil the truth unto him, regardless of the price it might exact. Lo! Emma didst make her entrance to the venue but a mere handful of minutes ere the appointed hour. As she didst arrive, she beheld Daniel, restless and pacing near the rear portal of the tavern, casting glances at his timepiece, manifestly vexed. His attire, a tuxedo most dapper, did gleam with sharpness, and his locks, newly arranged, did frame his visage with grace. Yet lo! Attention did reside within his stance, and worry danced in the manner he did turn his head with restless frequency. She didst park the chariot and alight therefrom, grasping the missive that now contained the printed likenesses and words of import. Daniel, with haste, did espy her and approached, his visage awash with worry. "What dost thou ponder, fair Emma? Thou dost fill my heart with dread." Emma, in silence, did not respond forthwith. With gentle grace, she did unfasten her satchel, withdrew the missive, and bestowed it upon him. "Behold thyself," quoth she with gentle breath. "Thou art worthy of the truth, indeed." Daniel's brow furrowed as he accepted it. He didst draw forth the images and commence to peruse them, one by one. In the beginning, he did smile, a smile both nervous and perplexed, as if he believed it to be naught but a jest or a misapprehension. Yet as he didst continue to turn the pages, the hue did flee from his visage. His brow did furrow, his lips did part, yet no utterance did escape his lips. Upon his arrival at the missives, he didst halt, as if time itself had ceased to flow. With mounting incredulity, he did peruse each visage. Then, with a subtle tremor, his hands did commence to quiver. He didst gaze upon Emma, his eyes wide and shimmering with a lustrous gleam. "Is this verily true?" he inquired, his voice but a whisper upon the air. "This cannot be true." "I long for it to be false," spake Emma, her voice laden with feeling. "Yet, I discovered it all within Mark's garage. With mine own eyes did I behold it." Daniel cast his gaze once more upon the images, clutching them with fervent grasp. His breast heaved in tumultuous rhythm. The truth was descending upon him, slow and merciless, an inescapable weight. "Why?" he whispered. "Why dost thou do this to me?" Emma stepped forth, and with tender grace did place her hand upon his arm. "I know not," quoth she. "Yet thou canst not proceed with this, Daniel. Not with her, I prithee. Nay, not after this." He withdrew a pace, laying a hand upon his brow as though to quell the tumult within. "The nuptials approach, but an hour hence. The guests, dear mother and father, all have gathered here, present in this fair abode. How art thou to accomplish this task? Pray tell." "Thou needst not bear this burden solitary," spake Emma. "I shall lend thee mine aid. Whatever thou dost require, together shall we endure the trials that lie ahead." Daniel gazed upon her for a protracted span of time. At last, he did incline his head in assent. "The decree hath been rendered." It pained him greatly, yet within the depths of his gaze, Emma beheld a certain steely resolve take form. Certainty most profound. "Verity. Come, let us depart," quoth he. Within the hallowed halls, a fervent air didst abound, brimming with eager anticipation. Melodies did softly waft, whilst merry discourse did dance upon the breeze. Lo! The guests were gathered, their goblets of sparkling nectar in hand, smiles gracing their countenances as they awaited the unfolding of the evening's delights. Fair Victoria did stand by the floral archway, resplendent in purest white, her hands trembling as they sought to adjust her delicate veil. As Daniel drew near, she didst turn her gaze upon him. "Danny, dearest, whither hast thou wandered?" "A wedding shall not be," quoth he, his voice steady, resolute, unwavering. The chamber fell silent, the whispers ceased. Victoria didst blink, struck with wonder. What dost thou utter? Is this some jest?" "I know," quoth Daniel. "I know all that pertains to thee, to Mark. I have beheld the images. I have perused the missives." Her visage contorted first in bewilderment, then in dread. "Nay, nay, that is not verity. That is a falsehood. Who hath imparted such tidings unto thee? This be but slander." "Yet it matters not who hath spoken," he replied, his voice unwavering. "What doth matter is that I possess the truth, and I shall not wed one who hath deceived me." Victoria's voice did fracture, sharp and shrill. How dost thou dare? How dost thou dare to mar this day? Dost thou comprehend the weight of thine actions? I know precisely what I am about, Daniel declared. Before this tempest doth swell into a greater storm, I shall put an end to it. She turned her gaze upon Emma, her eyes aflame with fervor. 'Twas thou, was it not? Thou hast ever harbored disdain for me. Jealousy hath been thy constant companion. Nay, be not absurd, Victoria, Emma replied with a chilling calm. Jealousy is not my plight. I merely seek to shield my brother. Shield? Victoria spat. Thou meanest to undermine? Thou dost wish to shatter our joy. Thou wert never destined for joy, spake Emma. Nay, when all was founded upon falsehoods. Victoria quaked with ire. She advanced toward Emma, her hand aloft, yet ere she could deliver her blow, Daniel seized her wrist. Refrain, quoth he with resolve. Pray do not. Begone from this place, fair Victoria, and ne'er return again. Her lips parted in astonishment. With a fierce tug, she wrenched her hand away and cast her gaze upon the astonished assembly, the withered blooms, and the aspirations that lay shattered beneath her tread. Then, with a tempestuous wail, she strode down the aisle and burst forth from the threshold, slamming the portal with a resounding finality. Daniel, caught in a moment of stillness, then gradually descended into a nearby seat. His shoulders did droop, and his hands were clasped with fervent grip. The silence that enveloped the chamber was most oppressive. What fate awaits us now? He whispered soft as a summer's breeze. Emma knelt beside him, her voice a tender murmur. Now thou dost breathe, she spake with gentle grace. And thus we commence anew. Shortly after the nuptials were annulled, Mark did approach fair Emma, as if he did perceive that a grievous shadow loomed over her countenance. His visage was wan, his orbs betraying a tremor of unease. Emma, quoth he, his voice trembling, fraught with uncertainty, what dost thou inquire? Why hath Daniel called off the nuptials? Emma met his gaze, standing resolute. Fear hath fled from her breast, leaving naught but clarity in its stead. Forsooth, Mark, he doth possess knowledge of thee and fair Victoria. Mark did stand as if he were smitten, frozen in time. His lips did part, yet naught but silence issued forth. She beheld the dread unfurling within the depths of his gaze. What dost thou speak of? He stammered. Nay, it matters not, quoth she, her voice as frigid as winter's breath. What doth truly matter is that the tale hath reached its end. He shall not wed thy mistress. Mark's visage clouded with ire. Thou hast betrayed him, he spat. Thou hast cast all into disarray. Nay, I have preserved him, Emma retorted. And in so doing, I have preserved mine own self. Text, thou hast wrought destruction upon all that was dear the day thou didst betray us. His jaw did tighten. This folly shall bring thee naught but regret. Thou shalt find no pardon in my heart for this transgression. And thus he did turn and depart, tempestuous in his stride, leaving the gathering without uttering another syllable. With a heart laden with sorrow, Emma beheld his departure, not for the loss of what once was, but for the certainty that he would not permit their tale to conclude in peace. Mark would seek vengeance. Such was the essence of his being. Yet she did no longer harbor dread of him. She hath cast aside the mantle of trust, no longer the innocent maiden she once didst be. His treachery did scorch that fragment of her soul, leaving naught but ash in its wake. In but a few days hence, Mark did depart from their abode. He gathered his belongings and vanished, leaving no farewell nor missive behind. Emma made no effort to hinder his course. She did perceive that naught remained for her to strive against. Their union did perish the instant she did uncover that crimson satchel within the confines of the garage. Silence didst descend upon the apartment, akin to a weighty drapery drawn tight. She didst repose upon the couch, her eyes gently closed, and permitted herself to embrace the anguish, the lament, the incredulity, the dread. Yet, beneath the surface, there lay another truth as well. A feeling of liberation, of progress unfurling, of unshackled spirit. The days that followed didst drift by in a misty reverie. Emma did commence the gathering of documents for the dissolution of her union, seeking counsel from a legal sage, whilst endeavouring to navigate the tumultuous seas of her heart's despair. Though weariness did beset her, she summoned forth her strength, resolute for Daniel and for her own spirit's sake. Even Daniel found himself in the throes of struggle. The treachery hath pierced his heart most profoundly. Yet he endeavoured to place one foot before the other. He and Emma didst lean upon one another in those initial cruel weeks, their bond now forged even more firmly by the trials they had both endured. Upon a fair eve, Daniel didst arrive for a repast. Though weariness clung to him, he shone with a vitality unseen in many a day. In his gaze there dwelt a certain difference, a glimmer of hope unspoken. "I thank thee, fair Em," quoth he, as he drew her into a tender embrace. "Thou hast delivered me from despair. I know not what fate would have befallen me without thine aid." "Thou shalt ever possess my loyalty," she answered in gentle tones. "Together shall we traverse this trial." I know," he replied, retreating with a gentle smile. "Methinks I have pondered long and deep. A desire stirs within me to embark upon a fresh venture, perchance to establish mine own enterprise. Forsooth, this notion hath lingered in my mind for many a moon. I do believe the hour hath come." Emma, with a gentle smile, did proclaim, "How splendid, dear Daniel! I hold faith in thee. Thou art capable of great deeds." Thus they did sit together for countless hours that eve, conversing of tomorrows yet to dawn, reminiscing of yesterdays gone by, and weaving dreams of what might yet unfold. Though both had known the pangs of sorrow, they were not vanquished. In the crucible of their shared anguish, they did discover a bond most steadfast, a foundation unyielding. Lo! The process of divorce, to fair Emma's astonishment, did unfold with a certain ease. No prenuptial pact did bind them, which proved a boon to her cause. All that they had wrought through the passage of time, the dwelling, the chariot, the coffers, were divided with equity. Mark, he did not contest this fate. It seemed as though he yearned to cleanse his hands of the entire affair. Yet Emma felt not the sweet taste of victory. She felt a sweet release, as though the dark spectre of her nightmare did at last begin to fade. One eve, whilst sifting through ancient boxes in the garage and readying herself for departure, Emma's device did ring. A number most unfamiliar danced upon the screen. Her first impulse was to allow it to descend into the realm of voicemail, yet some unseen force compelled her to respond. "Hark, Emma! 'Tis Andrew," spake the voice from yonder end. The name did stir within me a whisper of familiarity. "Good Sir Andrew, I must beg thy pardon, for I know not the answer thou seekest. With Mark did I labour," he spake with gentle words, "within the confines of the establishment. Thou didst grace the office but a time or two. I fear thou wouldst not recall. Now she hath done so." Andrew, a soul of silence, did dwell in shadows, a figure oft unseen, blending with the tapestry of life around him. She had glimpsed him in fleeting moments, never partaking in more than a handful of courteous utterances. "Indeed I recall," quoth she, her voice laced with trepidation. "Dost thou sense a shadow upon our discourse?" "Nay, I merely deemed it fit that thou shouldst be enlightened," he pressed on. "I was the one who didst send thee that anonymous missive ere Daniel's nuptials." Emma's breath did catch. She became as silent as the night. "Thou!" she exclaimed, her voice laced with incredulity. "Didst thou send it?" "Aye." "Yet, for what cause?" A lengthy silence did ensue. Then, with a hint of acrimony, Andrew did declare, "Forsooth, Victoria did attempt the same with me ere she turned to Mark. She sought to employ me, to twist my will to her design. She did desire a boon, a rise in station, a means to sway the fates. I know not. When I did discover her dealings with Mark and the schemes she harboured for thy brother, I could not allow such a fate to unfold. I felt compelled to speak, yet fear gripped my heart. I doubted that any soul would lend credence to my words. Thus, I chose to remain in shadows." Emma stood agape. She had ne'er pondered that another soul might dwell within the web of deceit. Another wretch ensnared. "I know not what words to utter," she murmured. "Thou hast delivered me. Thou hast delivered Daniel. I sought but justice," Andrew did respond. "I beheld Mark's treachery towards thee. I beheld Victoria's betrayal of Daniel, and I could not remain idle." Emma didst close her eyes for but a fleeting moment, feeling the burden of it all descend into a clarity most profound. This man, silent and hidden, had been the one to set the first domino a fall, and thus had altered the very course of all. "I thank thee," she spake. "Thou hast done the just deed. Thou art worthy of the truth," quoth Andrew. And then the call did cease. After her discourse with Andrew, Emma sat in stillness for an age, cradling her phone upon her lap, allowing the weight of the truth to settle within her, assuring herself that she had not conjured it from naught. Her instincts, verily, had proven true. And she was not solitary in her plight. Nay, not wholly. There existed a presence, subtle and watchful, one who did care in silence, who had the courage to extend a hand when others turned away. For the first time in many a week, Emma felt not so alone in her sorrow. She discerned that her fortitude did not spring solely from her own heart. From whence it sprang, a connection forged, a bond with Daniel, the valor of an unknown soul, and the modest yet gallant deeds of verity that did rend asunder the tapestry of falsehoods encircling her. On that fateful eve, a transformation did take root within her. No longer did she yearn to linger in the shadows of yesteryears. Too many days had she succumbed to the depths of grief, treachery, and dread. Weary was she of lingering amidst the remnants of yore. The hour had come to rise anew. With resolve, Emma did part with her stake in the dwelling, acquiring instead a humble abode in a realm uncharted, where silence reigned and the spectres of the past could not intrude. She bid farewell to her post at the esteemed firm, where she toiled for many a year. Though it had offered steadiness and honor, it no longer kindled the fires of her spirit. She hath discovered a new station, one brimming with creativity, abundant in growth, and vibrant with life. For the first time in many a year, she felt as though the world was unfolding before her, rather than constricting. Daniel, too, was mending. Gradually yet surely, he found a new vocation and embraced the art of photography, a passion he had cherished in his youth, yet forsaken upon the path to maturity. He embarked upon journeys, albeit to towns not far afield. From the winding paths, he would summon forth Emma, painting with words the hues of sunsets he beheld, the visages of unfamiliar souls, and the sweet sensation of motion once more after a long embrace of stasis. Through these exchanges, their connection grew ever more profound. They had long shared a closeness, yet now there existed a bond most unyielding between them. Upon a fair afternoon, as Emma did tread her way home from the market's bounty, she chanced upon a turn and nearly collided with Mark. Lines had etched themselves round his mouth, absent in days of yore, and his eyes bore the weight of shadows, perhaps the spectre of regret. Upon her sight, he did halt, as if time itself had paused. He cast his gaze downward, as though in fervent wish that she might overlook his presence. Yet Emma perceived him, and a whisper within urged her to maintain her gaze. "Mark," she spoke with a tranquil voice. "Stay." He halted, turning with deliberate slowness. A shadow of shame, perhaps even a trace of sorrow, adorned his visage. "Emma, I have longed to utter something," he confessed. She regarded him with unwavering steadiness, devoid of wrath, devoid of trepidation. "Prithee, I beg thy pardon," quoth he, his voice scarcely above a breath, "for all that hath transpired." She held her tongue for a moment, allowing the stillness to linger betwixt them, not from malice, but from a place of tenderness. At last, when words did flow from her lips, they rang true and unwavering. "I grant thee forgiveness." Mark, taken aback, didst blink in astonishment. "Dost thou truly?" "Nay, 'tis not for thee that I embark upon this course," she declared. "Rather, it is for mine own self that I undertake this endeavor. Henceforth, I desire not to bear this burden any longer. Mine heart doth not yearn for hatred towards thee. I yearn to forge ahead." He did nod with deliberation, his lips sealed tight. "I do hope thou findest joy, Emma. True joy." "I shall," she replied, "and I wish the same for thee." With that, she turned and departed, not in wrath, nor in grief, but with a tranquil heart. In the days that ensued, she resumed a serene existence. Yet, this calm was of a different ilk, not wrought from ease, but rather from the strength of spirit. She had traversed the flames, emerging not merely unscathed, but fortified, with clarity and a new-found certainty of her essence. She now grasped that betrayal was not the final curtain. Nay, it was a fracture, a grievous yet essential juncture that compelled her to scrutinize all she held dear, all she aspired to, all that was rightfully hers. Lo! It was the dawn of a fresh chapter. She, once beset by doubt, now trusted her inner voice with unwavering faith. No longer did she grasp at shadows that served her not. The essence of truth she cherished, even when it bore the sting of pain. She held herself in high regard, unshackled by the fear of transformation. Yet, there remained days of toil, when the specters of your tugged at her sleeve, loath to fade into oblivion. Yet Emma, resolute, did now confront her fate. Armed with tools of her own making, fortified by strength anew, and surrounded by kindred spirits, Daniel, Andrew, and companions yet unnumbered, her life lay poised to blossom. One morn, she stood by her window, a chalice of coffee cradled in her grasp, beholding the gentle light that poured into her fresh abode. No echoes of your intruded, no specters of regret rapped upon the pane, only a tranquil hush. And within that serene stillness, Emma beamed with joy. In that gentle season of spring, the city didst awaken anew, as trees adorned themselves in tender hues of green, and the air was suffused with the fragrance of fresh beginnings. Emma, in her wanderings, found herself drawn to the streets, lingering in the hallowed halls of bookstores, and hearkening to melodies long untouched. With a new notebook in hand, she didst embark upon the art of writing once more. In musings deep, reflections of her essence anew. On a Saturday morn, a missive from Daniel did arrive. Shall we venture forth to hike? A trail I have discovered beyond the city's grasp, fair and lovely it appears. A smile graced her lips. I shall join thee. Thus, they meandered through verdant hills and blossoms wild, conversing of all and naught. With camera in hand, Daniel turned to her and proclaimed, "Thou art lighter, as if thou hast at last released thy burdens." "Indeed I have," she replied, "for the first time in many a moon. I find myself in the very place ordained for my spirit." They perched upon a stone, the heavens arching above, the zephyr gentle and balmy. "Dost thou ever ponder upon her?" he inquired softly. "Victoria." He did nod. At times, she confessed, yet no longer with wrath, but rather as a lesson learned. Lo, a reminder that mortals oft wear masks, concealing their true selves. Trust thy instincts, for even the gravest treachery doth not shape thy essence, but rather unveils the nature of the betrayer. Daniel, in contemplation, did nod. Verily, I needed such counsel. As the evening waned, and Daniel did part ways, Emma lingered in her newly adorned chamber, gazing upon the waning light that danced upon the walls. The scars, though still lurking beneath the skin, no longer did they sting as in days of yore. They lay in silence, mere whispers of the past, not the gaping wounds they once were. Then came a gentle rap upon the door, unexpected and unbidden. She unlatched it, revealing a small envelope resting upon the mat, devoid of name or address. She didst lift it and unveil its contents. Within lay a solitary likeness, a relic from days of yore. She and Daniel, in mirthful revelry, didst embrace in the verdant expanse of the backyard, laughter echoing amidst the warmth of a family feast, their visages aglow with the sun's tender caress. Upon the reverse, in script most tidy, were inscribed the words, "Some truths are worth fighting for." As Emma beheld it, a weight didst rise within her throat. Since that final discourse, naught had reached her ears from Andrew. The whereabouts of him remained a mystery, as did the fate that had befallen him, yet this modest, silent token sufficed. She placed the likeness within a frame and set it upon her shelf of tomes. In the days that ensued, Emma, with new-found resolve, embraced opportunities anew. She became a member of a local gathering of literary minds, partook in a weekend of artistry, and encountered souls she would ne'er have met in times past. She did embark upon a single date, yet its significance was but a whisper in the grand tapestry of her existence. What truly held weight was her renewed openness, a willingness to embrace the world anew, to rediscover her own essence. The shadows of her past lingered still, yet they had relinquished their hold upon her spirit. And as she reclined upon her bed one eve, the city's gentle murmur caressing her ears through the window, she breathed softly into the night, "I have prevailed." It was not a proclamation of victory, nor was it a cacophony of emotion. In silence profound, steadfast and veritable, she traversed the remnants of despair. She confronted the verity laid bare. With resolute heart, she did elect to ascend. And lo, now she is unbound.